That was my gavel.
Bad.
All right, I'd like to call the meeting of the Finance Committee for Tuesday, April 9th. It's about 4:40 PM to order. Roll call, Alder LaFave.
Here.
Alder Corpus-Dax. Here. Alder Dorf. Here. Alder Galvin.
Here.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by
Whoever
Alder
you
Galvin, second by Alder
Who?
LaFave,
Oh.
to approve the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the minutes from the March 12th, 2019 meeting.
Motion
So
approved.
move.
I will motion to approve by Alder LaFave, second by Alder Galvin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Regular business. Request by Alder Weary that all departments submit time spent and resources used by any current or former employee on Mayor Schmidt's private going-away retirement party. All time and resources used are to be billed to Mayor Schmidt. I'm requesting the City of Green Bay inquire into whether city resources of any kind will be needed for Schmidt's retirement party, especially if a public fireworks display takes place. I do not see Alder Weary here. Therefore, I would like to suggest that we hold this until such time that Alder Weary can be present to discuss this at a finance meeting. I would like to entertain a
Sure.
motion to hold it.
Make a motion to that effect.
Okay. Motion to hold made by Alder Galvin, second by Alder LaFave. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. This will be held.
Yeah, like it discussed, yes.
For consideration, item 2, for consideration with possible action on the Brown County Tax Collection Agreement for December 2019 to February 2020. Staff.
So within your packet is a copy of the agreement we received from Brown County. Annually, we've been signing agreements to have Brown County collect the property and personal property taxes for us. Now, recently, in the last 3 years and prior, they used to give us the money weekly. So we would get payments from the county every week for the amount of taxes that they've collected that were ours, or for the city, the county, the TC, anyone within our taxing jurisdiction. Then, 2 years ago, they lowered it to 5 payments a year. And now with this new contract here, they're looking to lower it to 4 payments a year, which the first payment we wouldn't even receive till January of 2020. So Diana and I have discussed it. We've run the numbers. I mean, that's a lot of interest that we're losing out on. So we project that we could, with current interest rates, we could make an additional $75,000 to $100,000 in interest revenue if we were to collect the taxes ourselves. In addition, we'd obviously have to have some expenses. We'd need some additional staff in clerk's office. There could be some additional bank fees. We're projecting it could be about $25,000 worth of expenses. So still,
So
and that
people would have 2 different tax bills they pay?
you would just have, if you have your property, you would get one tax bill, and instead of it saying to go to Brown County to pay it, it's going to say, come to City of Green Bay.
And then we would hold the state, can we hold the county's money?
We hold all the money until the January 15th settlement,
Yeah.
and that's for everything we've collected up until through December. So we settle with all the taxing jurisdictions January 15th, and then we collect all the money for January, and then the very beginning of February for any payments through the mail and stuff that were for January, and then we settle up with the taxing jurisdictions again on February 20th. So yes, we're able to hold all of that money for a much longer period of time, where
Plus
the
if
county
we're-
right
But
now is
are you
holding it.
looking at the postage, sending it out?
The taxes currently, the county sends those out and we pay for the postage anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
the
right,
county
right.
would still have to
Okay.
print and send our tax
Yeah,
bills.
yeah.
We
I
used
know.
to collect the taxes.
Yeah,
back
right,
in
right,
the
right.
80s and 90s.
Right, the county did discuss that last year, we were talking about that. And there was some consternation, some of the supervisors, because it affects the smaller communities. But they said, right, they gave the option, you can,
So,
like, maybe
right.
De Pere might do it themselves in Green Bay, because they're bigger. They can add the staff, but these smaller ones,
Yeah, I'm
They're
not
not
sure.
going to.
The city, all municipalities did collect the taxes, my understanding, at least prior. Chris
Right.
Teskey is familiar with that.
yeah.
But I think the prior county treasurer had wanted to get it all condensed. I mean, it's a little easier for people who might own properties in multiple municipalities. They can just come to one place, pay all their bills, right? But with some of the changes that are made, I would recommend that we look at doing this ourselves. It's hard to pass up that additional interest.
Well-
Plus, do we ever have to borrow money in order to meet our payments because we don't have the money?
No,
We don't-
we have enough
the
of a
school
fund
districts have
balance
to do
that,
that. Oh,
that
okay.
we are
That we
able
have
to
to
make
do
it
that.
through those time
Okay.
periods, but it definitely, we get used to getting those payments in December, so not getting any payments in December would put a little bit of a strain on some of the investments I'd have to pull in.
So we pay taxes. You can pay taxes before the end of the year to claim it on those years' income taxes, or you can pay after.
Yep,
Okay, so most everyone pays December, January,
yes, your first installment is due January 31st.
and then the
so
next installment is due in June, right?
Yes.
July, yeah.
July, okay?
Was it July?
That
And
was June, but let me.
how is it that they have to pay out 4 times a year? Would they just pay out twice a year, or how? Explain this to me.
Technically, the municipality is allowed to collect all of it, so we'd be able to hold on to all of the money. And the county, even when the county is collecting right now, when they're paying us 4 times a year, they're giving us all the money for, even the money they've collected for Brown County, TC, the Green Bay School Districts, and the state. They're giving us all that money because it's our money to hold on to, and it's our responsibility to then settle with those taxing jurisdictions.
Right, but what I'm asking is, how is it they have to make 4 payments? Why not just 2 payments? One like in January and one in July?
The county, they could have put that in this agreement too, but I don't know that the municipalities do, especially smaller ones, get used to getting those payments all the time.
I mean, are people paying like in March and April and May that there have to be
That's
payments?
what's confusing.
Okay, so when I'm saying they're paying 4 times, they're paying, the county is set in this agreement to pay January 3rd, January 17th, February 5th, and February 12th.
Okay, that.
So it's all within
Okay.
that time frame. It's not later in the year. So anything that's goes delinquent and isn't paid by the end of January, or that second installment, those will be
Yeah.
still collected by the county
Okay.
The
and so-
second installment, then we don't get that till December?
until it's due for the settlement.
So that interest accrued over that period of time amounts to
Quite a bit.
almost $100,000, $75,000 to $100,000?
Yes, we calculated out the amount we were looking at collecting in that time. We have total tax payments that we received in 18, just as an example, was $114 million. So from the 5 payments that the county gave us, we received $114 million. We then had to turn around and pay out part of that.
Oh,
But
sure.
that's, I mean, with the current interest rates being pretty high, we're able to make quite a bit of money on that.
So you think would we create a position? Would this be overtime, this 25,000 you're talking about?
Talking with Chris, we'd be looking at hiring some temporary employees, whether it's poll workers or other temp employees, for just time from December, when the tax bills are sent
Okay.
out, through the first week in February.
And then what about the second bill? That goes up?
The second installment would go to the county.
That goes to the county?
That would still go to the county. They are responsible for that.
All right, so.
Doesn't seem to have a downside, does it?
I'm
Well, the
sorry.
rates are high now.
Correct.
What does high mean, and what does a low rate look like? And
Well,
does
for-
a low rate still quantify enough to cover your
The
expenses
expenses.
that you need to bring on?
So currently, when we did our projections, we did it at an interest rate of 2.5%. Looking at what the LGIP is, which is our local government investment pool, that is very close to 2.46, 2.47 the last couple of months. Last year, at the end of the year, it was 2.37, but history, the end of 2017, you were looking at 1.21. Prior to that, 0.45, 0.19, 0.09. So yes, it could flip
So
if
there's
if
your
the interest
downside.
rates
Well,
flip.
if my math
They
is
go
way
down.
off, half of 2.5 is 1.25, and that would generate about $50,000 in interest, unless I'm not
So it's
extrapolating this
still
right.
Should be.
So, and if this position is only gonna run us about 25 grand, we're still 25 in the
Still, I
black.
got it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even if we have pretty low.
Unless the rates dip.
Yeah, unless
they have dipped
below
Suggesting
1.25.
you're losing
So-
money.
Well, if it looks like the rates would have to go all the way down to 1% or maybe a little bit less for us to break even, before it looks like we're gonna start losing money. And that's certainly potential. I mean, during the 2008, it was down to just about 0.
In addition, there are some extra items in Brown County's contract with the city, just with the city of Green Bay. The other municipalities have all the same language until it comes to item 14. Item 14 on here is requesting that they get a set number of hoods on the parking meters over on Adams Street and also over here, I believe. on Jefferson Street. And now, something new for this year is they're also requesting 5 parking passes for 5 limited-term employees during the months of December 2019 and January 2020.
No,
So,
they're taking away.
We would be losing out on potential parking revenue as well of $4,000 to $5,000.
Well, don't they have
It was
a
filled
parking
up
lot they
time.
just bought? Just asking.
I
Okay, you're not part of that.
I don't, I'm not part
sorry.
of that.
I apologize.
That's not close, though.
So you're asking for a motion for us to deny this contractual agreement, or are you asking for us to...
Either we
make-
approve this contract and we sign it, or we just don't, and they're gonna assume we're collecting.
Okay, then I make a motion to deny this contract.
Is there a second?
Second that.
Okay. Any more discussion? I guess it could be risky, and
That's-
we could go back to the way it was then possibly.
I think it's worthwhile to look at historical numbers, but I think we've got time to do that before council.
Okay.
I'll amend
just-
my motion. I'll make a motion to deny, but at the same time, I'd like what Brian said, to bring back to this committee a study on historical numbers.
Just, right, to make sure.
Bring it to the committee,
See,
or bring it to
see,
council.
see what the interest rate would have to be for us to break even, and let's see how many years we were below that, and how many years were we above.
I just wanted to add one other thing. It's not the county that did this, it's the county treasurer who's elected. He decided, and we had, in the county board itself, we had supervisors, we couldn't do anything about it. Because he's elected and he can, under the law, he can do this.
Oh, so you have
And
no...
a lot of them weren't happy
The
with it.
county board has no say over that.
No, couldn't do anything. So I just want to make sure, so don't
All
go
right.
blaming.
It was a couple years ago that the county treasurer
he
had
did it,
requested
and
that the
people were upset.
municipalities pay
Yeah.
for every tax
Yes,
bill.
yeah.
And that had come back that the county treasurer did not have the authority to do so, and the county board did not want that to happen. So then, that's when we went from 8
Alright.
payments to 5,
Mhm.
but yeah,
Yeah, then
I'm
he
under the
could-
same understanding that
Okay,
this is the county
put away the
treasurer.
tar and feathers and pitchforks.
Okay.
Yeah, don't do it to me.
Yeah.
It wasn't
So
my
wait,
fault.
so now the
I'll second
motion.
the motion.
Motion is to
Yeah.
deny, but at the same time, I'd like a study to bring back what the break-even point interest rate would be, and how many years above, how many years below.
Wouldn't you hold it, though? If you deny it, then they're just going to say, okay, you're going to do it.
You make it a valid point.
Wouldn't you just say,
Do you have
hold
time
it
to
for
hold it?
1
I
month?
believe we have
or-
till the end of this month
Oh,
to make a determination.
so we have another meeting.
We have another meeting.
Yes.
So
The
let's
23rd.
hold it and bring
And then
back, okay.
council on the
Yes.
30th.
Oh,
Wait,
On that day
no,
it's
council is not on the 30th.
That's not yet.
What?
When is the next council?
In May.
May
Oh.
7th.
So,
Yeah, so we
Oh,
have to,
it'd be too-
we
oh.
have to decide.
Council would have to
Oh,
decide
yeah,
prior.
decide
Okay.
tonight.
Well,
So bring
so
that to
we can have this
council.
for you by council?
Yep.
If that's all right?
So we'll have a discussion, brief discussion, hopefully at council.
yeah.
Okay,
on it.
okay.
A motion to hold? Motion to hold?
No,
No.
to-
Motion to
no,
deny.
Deny,
What to,
Motion to deny with the study, and we'll
Right.
pull it at council.
bring
for
that,
this.
yeah,
Right.
bring it at council.
Okay,
that's
okay.
motion
Could I
by
also
Alder
make a
Galvin.
request
Sure.
in there?
Sure.
You had mentioned an estimate on the expense to manage it.
Mhm.
Could you detail that out for us to look at that same time?
Yes.
Put it on a piece of paper like you already have it.
I do.
Okay.
I remember walking the clerk over to the bank to make the deposits.
All right, so, motion by Alder Galvin, we're going to deny and have some information presented at council, and it was second
And then there'll be a
by
final
Alder Purvis
decision.
Dax.
Okay.
All those in, or do you want us to vote on the deal, or do you want us, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's unanimous. All right, next, the update on the 5-year combined capital improvement plan. And there were no attachments, so I
No,
didn't.
yeah.
I have another handout for you. So
Okay.
it is my understanding that there was a request at the last council meeting that Diana pull something together for this and have just rough estimates. So she pulled all the emails that we've received, which keep in mind, this is everything. I'm going to ask for everything possible, right? We have not revised this at all from what departments have requested. She pulled it together just on what was general levy, which was TIF, parking, storm, sanitary, or other funding sources.
What is CIP?
Capital improvement.
So you guys are looking for just an estimate of how much
Really
they've been requesting. So for 2019, for instance, you're looking at a total of $24 to $25 million in bonding. Keeping in mind, we're only paying off $14 million.
Right,
So
right.
we
So
have, we have sent all this information to Ellers and Associates, who we, during the last council meeting and finance meeting, approved to do the financial management plan for us. So they will take these numbers and kind of plug them into our current budget scenario, where we're at with debt capacity, where we're at with levy limits, and kind of tell us what we can and can't do, what we should or shouldn't do based on our Moody's rating, where they think that this would be negatively affecting us, or what we can do to get it more positive.
What happened in 2022?
Yeah.
We built a public safety building.
Oh,
Okay.
we did. It
That's
looks
all right.
great.
Oh,
that's
Yes.
So this
Yes.
is this an estimate?
This is based on what the departments have requested.
So
We did request each
So they've been
department.
requesting all the way to 2023.
We have asked them all to do that. In many cases, there may not be detailed stuff like Public Works. We didn't get every single street, but roughly what the dollar amount would be, so that you'd be able to then go decide what streets off of that dollar value.
And nobody anticipates any borrowing for TIF.
Not at this point. For 2019, they have a little bit in here, and that would be for the shipyard. But Diana is not aware of anything going forward at this point.
So what this is kind of telling me is that the idea about the wheel tax money being used to offset bonding really,
Drop in the bucket.
it is, and I would rather keep it in the wheel tax fund, but that was one of the main reasons we wanted this, right? Wasn't this all about the big discussion at council
Right,
about the wheel tax?
what I wanted to see was before I vote to use wheel tax money to offset having to bond, is
Right.
based on your
Holistically.
taking these numbers and how much we're estimating to pay off each year, would that make any difference in our ability to raise the levy that we didn't use in years past? You know, because
Right.
we're not
Right.
bonding as much. I mean,
It's
if-
not going to.
And that's what Ellers will
Yes.
help us calculate as well.
Well,
So
and that's why, can you give us an answer yet? I mean, if we, what was it, 400, 500,000 they were?
Yeah.
So
Almost
if
five.
we used
Almost five.
500,000 of wheel tax money to offset bonding, would that allow us to raise our levy 0.5% or 1% or anything?
Diane said if it was above 17 million, it wouldn't. That's what she said at the meeting.
And so you're estimating that this is going to be.
24 is what's being requested.
I think there's a lot of variables with that, on when you're bonding, how much you're bonding, when that debt is being paid off. I mean, you could bond in 2019 here and not actually make principal payments for 5 years.
So what I'm
So-
asking though is can we get an answer to that question?
That's the answer we needed for Tuesday. That's the answer we need for
That's
Tuesday.
the
That's
answer
the whole
we need for
reason
Tuesday
we
is,
needed this.
I see.
and I understand there's a lot of variables.
I
Right.
don't have that answer. Well, I can definitely talk to Diana when she returns, and we can try to come up with something before
Right.
Tuesday.
We need, and I think we need this going forward from year
Monday.
to year.
Monday.
As
Monday.
we make
Monday.
these plans, we're gonna need these kind of answers to these kinds of questions, otherwise we're spinning our wheels.
And it might be a moot point, because Director Grenier last night had indicated that he's exhausted his pothole repair budget already this year.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he may look,
To that.
instead of that capital reserve fund, he may actually look to use it this year for
Right,
additional
Right,
right,
repairs.
right.
right, because it's part of transportation,
Yes.
that's what the
He's
wheel
planning
tax
to
was
bring that up, I
for.
believe, tomorrow evening at the INS meeting.
Which got changed to 6:30, guys, in case anyone was thinking of going at 4 when it was, Parks was originally scheduled. It's now
geez.
6:30. So that just.
And just also an additional observation on this total bond estimate, we've sort of promised, I
Yeah.
mean, 11, 12 million dollars of that already to Public Works,
For this year.
because we approved their capital improvement plan without a bonding
We
request.
did.
Which was the
You're right.
point that I was trying to make at the
We did.
meeting, like, why are we not doing these simultaneously?
Right. It
It
makes
was-
no sense.
It was so that they could, no, it did make sense, because they need to contract with people. And you cannot contract with people unless you know you have money behind
I
it.
get that, but that's where I'm saying then maybe our bond request timing needs to be adjusted.
Oh, maybe that's
More
true.
alignment
Yeah.
with
Oh, yeah.
this.
This
That's
makes no
definitely
sense
true,
to
but for
approve
right now-
projects, that require bonding when we haven't approved the bonding yet.
Yeah.
except we,
In essence, they're
We did.
forcing us to approve the future
Bonding.
bonding by approving projects.
Projects.
And when they come to us though, it's piecemeal requests. And instead of a solid plan that the whole city has these plans
All the
with this
ones.
bonding request, it's, I need this, and we're all going, yeah, that seems like a good idea. But by the time you get to the third or fourth department, it's like, holy hell, we're spending a ton of money, and there has to be more coordination and planning.
yes,
And there has to be some kind of rating, you know, what's the most important projects need to go first, right? When you're bonding, you have to, because
There's-
otherwise, like you said, you could have another one down, the departments are putting in, and this department says this one, well, this one might be more important than the first one, but we already proved it, right?
Stuff that's gonna abate flooding
So-
and our streets and that might be deemed by us to be more important, or
Yeah,
building a new park shelter might be deemed by us to be more important. But we have to have some kind of way of considering all these requests and
To
then
know
coming
ahead.
to a conclusion, so.
Exactly,
Yeah, I feel like we're getting the cart in front of the horse on some of this stuff.
yeah, yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason why we have some of the financial problems that we do.
Mhm.
we're going to fix that for next
Yeah.
year.
That is the point of us doing a
That's the whole
five-year
point,
CIP,
right.
so we can
Exactly.
see
Right.
what's being requested, and even
Absolutely.
with Ellers, with the conversation we had with them last week, they can give us an idea of how much maybe we should only be borrowing up to. And then maybe they come back and say, okay, you're paying out 14 million, you really should only bond 14 million.
Exactly.
And then you guys would have to look at the projects and do
And
that
say
rating.
Rate them and see
Well,
what's
it's-
really we can do
Right.
this year.
Another question
and
is,
then
what
put
if
up
we had approved Steve's request at the last city council meeting, and now he would be changing his tune to transfer that money instead of the offset bonding, transfer it to potholes?
I don't know.
I know. and-
That-
and-
It's
and-
just
and that's
conjecture,
why,
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Again,
Yeah.
we're
I
doing
don't-
these
that's-
requests, and
But,
Yeah. Mhm.
it's not making sense.
It's not a good, yeah.
All right.
all right, thank you.
Okay.
Would you like a,
It's a good.
It's just information.
it's just information, so we don't really need.
Okay.
And then we have,
Gosh,
Oh,
look at, just
up
look at
to
the five.
the next finance will be held on Tuesday, April 23rd at 4:30. And the contingency account is at 96,000.
Is that accurate?
That is the current amount we have in the account, however, we have not done transfers yet
Right.
for some of those invoices we've approved for law.
Well, what
Oh, yeah.
about for the flood cleanup? I was given
I
a
have
total.
not, we have not brought anything to this committee yet for that
That
as
really
well.
isn't
Yeah.
reality. It's really low.
Because
It's pretty low.
what the number I was given by DPW is 57,000 so far for flood cleanup.
We may not have that left after
Right.
those law
Right.
bills that have already been approved,
Right.
so.
So then we have to
Are
figure
those
it out.
funds that are eligible for reimbursement through the emergency declaration?
Only
No,
if,
according to the fire person who was in charge of that.
We didn't meet our threshold.
Oh, there's a threshold, okay.
yeah, there's a local and then a state threshold you have to meet. Unless there's a huge sinkhole on the Near East Side.
So really, the mayor's declaration,
It's
I mean, it was proper protocol,
Right.
but it's not gonna get us.
not gonna get us anything,
Oh,
no. So, yeah. And that doesn't include police and fire overtime or anything else, so,
great.
yeah.
Okay,
We drained the bank.
bake sale. All right. I'll entertain
Citywide big sale.
a motion to
Throw
adjourn.
pies at the Alderman contest.
Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn by Alder Sticks. Is there a second? to
Second.
adjourn? Second by
Kathy had
Alder,
actually.
second by Alder LaFave. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, we're adjourned.
Okay.
I have something for you all.